This is episode 35 of our talk. And today I have a very special edition. This is not the normal art talk. We are going to talk about this book, Black Queer Role Models, Painting for Unity, that I made in collaboration with Anneka Chambers. Welcome, Anneka, to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we had such a good collaboration. But let me quickly tell the people a bit about you. So Anneka Chambers is a Black British poet living in London. She enjoys making an impact through poetry, and her work can be found in Brave Voices magazine, South Bank Poetry, Feral, a journal of poetry, and art, Superfruits magazine, amongst other notable publications. It was such a joy to do this with you.
Absolutely. I was delighted, firstly, just by getting in touch with you via LinkedIn, and then you responding and having a project that I could potentially work on, and then us doing it. Yeah, it was a really seamless process. And I thank you for including me in that, because the message is so important. And I really feel that the poetry amongst the portraits just somehow meld together and work.
Absolutely. And I was so happy with that. So let me just quickly explain what I've done, because you see this portrait, which is not really the portrait, that is more like this.
Yes.
This is the portrait. And next to it, you see the poem. So I made 11 or 10 portraits of people. Most of them are part of UK Black Pride. I have 2 transgender people.
Yeah.
So it is very important. And how did I come to this? Because when I came in the UK, I come from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And the thing is that in the Netherlands, being queer is generally accepted. That said, I am not a community person, so I don't go to these events.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I came out late. It's also a thing. So when I came here, I went to Pride with my partner, and we saw UK Black Pride, and she said, "Wow, that's amazing. It's good that they do this."
Yeah.
And in 2019 or 18, I met Phil online because I painted her portrait.
Yes, which is also in the book.
Which is also in the book, yeah. So that is this portrait. Oh, by the way, this portrait was a study.
Okay.
This was a study, but I've never really shown it, and it was by. So it's also a watercolor, and that's something I hardly use.
Oh.
But when I was in conversation with her, because I always also made a book about her, when she came out and what happened. And the most important thing she told me is, it wasn't that I was a lesbian, because I didn't even know that when I was a child. It was that I found out I am different because I have a different skin color.
Right, got ya. Yeah.
And she told that story, and that really crushed my heart. I had like, how in the world can you do that to someone who's a child? And from that moment, she said she changed, and she started to be aware of how that was. And started to recognize other people, and they had a connection, like, okay, we have something in common. Schools were racist, and then later finding out you are gay, and within the community, the Black community, the African community, it was not accepted.
No.
And she says that's because the Commonwealth laws, like in colonialism, were were placed in those countries.
Yes.
Religion took it over. And so those laws are still ruling. And it means that a lot of people who are queer, and that is, I mean, the letters keep growing, LGBTQi plus. So there are more of us than there are heterosexuals.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I have another one, by the way, in that
Oh,
respect, because we are all non-binary.
yes. So I'm reading and understanding now.
Yeah. And so at one point, I was a volunteer in UK Black Pride 2019, before lockdown, before this pandemic, and we couldn't go anywhere, etc. And I never had such an amazing Pride as there, because it was all inclusive.
Yes, yes, yes.
But the fact that so many Black queers, queer in general, Black queer in particular, still have to fight for their own right. You can't be who you really are. And that's very troubling.
And I think that's what really kind of led me to want to do this, because I remember us having a conversation. I think it was the first time we spoke. And, you know, I said to you, I'm a heterosexual female, and I felt a little bit worried actually about taking on this role, because I didn't want to occupy space where I shouldn't be. But I remember your words so clearly. You said to me, this book is for everyone, because it is about unity. And I think that's the beauty of the book. It also is reflective of who you and I are and how we've come together to create something. So yeah, that is what really made me think, actually, I do need to do this, because the education in schools isn't there. The education within our own community, like you've said, the Black community is absolutely not there. It's brushed under the carpet, it's silenced. And so it has been an honor to do this and to share with my own friends and my own kind of groups, because my groups are very diverse of people that I mix with, you know. So yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it was a great conversation that we had, because the unity, and I told you about that time where they started to vote in Parliament if they should teach about LGBTQ in schools. And I had this massive conversation with this guy, a white guy, by the way, who was praying his knees off in Westminster, because he didn't want his children to know about how same-sex couples had sex. And I had like, what? That's not the case. That's not, I mean, what is going on in your brain? And it took me so much effort to go through to him, to the extent that he said, I will pray to God for you. I said, you don't have to. You don't have to, because my God is all inclusive.
All encompassing, all inclusive. Exactly.
And so I started painting, and I asked people, and it was a slow process, because I was also in another project.
Yeah.
And then, we came together. And do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? That's a really good question. I must say, Audre Lorde is one of my favorites, because, and I have to thank you again, because doing this project has actually taught me so much, and it's really opened my eyes up to the vast work that she did. And I've been doing my family history as well, and I think there might be some connection. I'm hoping there is, but I think it was her mother, she came from Grenada, and she shares the same surname as my paternal surname. And so yeah, it was really, really interesting to do it. And that portrait that you captured of her speaks so many words to me. And that's why I focus so much on the body language, the eyes, the face, the voice, because all of these things come through in the portrait so eloquently.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love the portrait. May I read it? Or
Of
can
course.
can you read it?
Yes, of course I will. Right, just bear with me. I just have to go through it on my phone. Okay, where is she? Right, come on.
Because you
Sorry.
captured it so well, exactly what
Do you
I.
feel so?
Yeah. Because I will come to that. You first read
Okay,
your poem because then
okay.
I will explain
Yeah,
why.
no, for sure. Okay, so behind my eyes outlives a universe of unity. Do you share my vision? Behind my face resides the innocent, the forgotten. Will you face them with me? Behind my voice nests a world of the silenced. Let us stand together and advocate on their behalf.
Yes, so beautiful, so
Thank
beautiful,
you.
and really captures what I painted. Because
Absolutely.
if you look at the eyes, I didn't put lights into it.
No, I remember you saying that after I'd written the poem, and the eyes were one of the first features that I was drawn to when looking in the portrait, because I tried to study the portrait first. So that was my main source of communication. And then I did my research about the person, but the eyes really drew me in here. And so I had to start with that.
Yeah, because why didn't I do that? She's looking inside as a writer, as an author, as a civil rights, and she has also the words behind her.
Yes.
Those are her words. So she's really inside, and I loved this poem so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I do love it. I must say, I really enjoyed writing that one. And it's almost like it speaks to you from her voice, and it makes the person, the recipient reading it, question, actually, what am I doing to make a positive change? Am I being united? Am I doing XYZ? So yeah, it's almost like a call to action. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let us stand together and advocate on their behalf.
Yeah.
And then you really have to think, okay, am
Exactly.
I doing that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
So beautiful. Yeah.
thank you. Thank
Did you
you.
have another one? How
Yeah.
just I mean, I make these portraits and I send you the pictures,
Yeah.
and one that I love is from my friend Nate,
Ah, yes. Yes.
a
Yeah.
sweetheart,
That.
absolute sweetheart,
Yeah.
and it is almost a rap.
Honestly, when I did Nate's poem, I felt such a sensitivity and vulnerability
Mhm.
there, and I really wanted to capture that. But I also got a strength and a fierceness, especially in the music that he does, and the actual music world that he's involved in. You have to be strong, you have to be courageous, you have to almost have a persona of, yeah, I've got this.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes you haven't, which is natural for everyone. So I hope the poem captures that. And I remember getting in contact with Nate after and sharing the poem with him, and it was wonderful. It was
Oh,
really,
did
really
you?
wonderful. Yeah. I tried to get in contact with everyone and share it with them after. So
And what did they
yeah.
say?
Tash was ecstatic about
Mhm.
hers, so we can come on to hers after. But yeah, she was really, really ecstatic. It was nice to actually get that feedback
Yeah.
from them, and I hope that they resonate with the words, because it's hard sometimes to write about someone that you don't know personally. But it was a nice experiment to do it through your poetry, because when you draw, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you certainly, I'm sure, pick up feelings, pick up emotions, which are then portrayed in the drawing. And
Yep.
so from that, I then became inspired to write my words. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's always a high energy. That's true.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Completely.
let's go to Tash.
Okay.
That beautiful smile.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? When I was doing my research about Tash, she's done so many exceptional things, by the way. But
Yeah.
I had to come back to the smile, because you portrayed that so so perfectly. And when you look at, for example, her Instagram, that's all you see. You see this glorious smile. So her poem had to reflect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The poem had to reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Do you want me to read that one out?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me just find that. Or how about, do you want to read it?
Nah, your poems.
Okay, bear with me. Let me just find it. Okay, here we go. So this one goes, like the gleam of the sun atop of glassy shores, her eyes glistened upon her panoramic smile, a smile that sounds in the stillness of silence, a smile that touches beyond physical embrace, a smile that speaks to hearts of every race, of all identifying genders, inclusive of every sexual orientation. To live in your truth is to truly smile.
That is, to me, is a biography in small.
Yeah.
In a few lines. That's
Absolutely.
also when I follow them, and I always feel enlightened by that smile. And I have like, there's so much positivity coming off, and so much power, and yeah.
No, for sure. And yeah, I think she really felt touched when we spoke about it and I shared the words with her. She said, oh my gosh, that has absolutely made my day. And I said, it's just you being you, you know, your smile speaks volumes. And so I wanted to use that. And you know what? It's so incredibly important. Sometimes you meet a stranger or something and they just smile at you. And how does that make you feel? Even if you feel at your worst, it can uplift someone. And I can just imagine, you know, someone that maybe is questioning their gender identity, or they know who they are, but they can't actually come out yet. And I just hope that that poem gives them some source of strength.
Yeah. 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 Well, my favorite was this one.
Oh, really? This, I got a real spiritual sense. For some reason, I felt like that portrait's almost opening up to her aura. And it had a spiritual element to it. It's a fantastic portrait.
I love this portrait, absolutely. I will try to read it.
Go on, you go for it. Okay. Go for it.
When they turn away, arise in your majesty, make them stare. When they plant seeds of negativity, uproot all weeds, fertilize your growth. When they attempt to mute you, elevate your voice like an enchanted garden in full bloom. In every way, you shall flourish.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you love that.
Yeah. It fits so perfectly with how I know Char. I have met her, UK Black Pride.
Yeah.
And I follow her. You always say we're soul sisters. Because of the pandemic, we didn't have that much contact, but online it's social media.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, I really love it.
Thank you. And I think
this one is a good one too.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. But just to go back to Shah's very quickly, I wrote that because I wanted it to come from a place of confidence in who you are, no matter how different you may be or how others perceive you. I think when I was doing my research of Shah, that's what came across most, her self-confidence. And you can see that she may have been through things, like she speaks of her own community, you know, almost ousting her because of who she is and how she identifies. But she has a real self-confidence in who she is, and you see that in her photos and everything. And it's almost as though, you will not beat me down. you will not strike me down. I will arise and you will see me and you will have to deal with that and face it. And
Yeah.
so that's how I wanted that poem to come across.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So you see how art, in
Mm.
portraits in this case, and words can really glow together.
100%. I've always wanted to do a collaboration like with an artist, because I feel different mediums can come together to create something wonderful. And
Absolutely.
sometimes words alone doesn't quite do it, and your pictures just bring everything to life, Karin.
Thank you.
It really does.
Well, there's a lot of love goes into it, and a lot of soul and spirituality. That's how I am.
Yeah.
And when I start painting and I feel I am in flow, and it goes. And when you see the pictures in real, they speak even more.
Yeah, I can
They
imagine.
speak even more.
I can imagine completely. The tones you've used as well, Kashenga, for example, the colors that you've used kind of capture so much of personality, of confidence in who you are.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
It radiates, it has an energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I had to make sure that my poem, you know, resonates with what you were coming across there. But it's beautiful. The yellow and red tones, like magic.
Yeah, against the blues. Yeah,
absolutely.
But that is this is so powerful. It's the only model, by the way. And I love to paint models.
Yeah.
But it is she's also a writer and a journalist.
I know. I know. Her words are fantastic. And when I was actually doing the poem, I was like, oh my gosh, will she approve of this? But yeah.
Did you get in touch? Did she?
I did. I got in touch with her and she kind of like said, thank you. That's amazing. So yeah, I'm hoping that she's enjoyed it. But I think aside from this being like a poem and a portrait collaboration, the fact that it's going to be used educationally is so powerful. And you know, with my work with like working with children and vulnerable children, that also drew me to this project more so, because what you're doing is going to change children's lives, and we can't underestimate.
I hope so. I hope so. I really, really hope so. That is, I mean, we need so much change, and especially now when trans people are about to lose their human rights. That is devastating. And I will share something, because I made with this a resource for education.
Okay.
So this is the lesson brief, Black Queer Role Models Painting for Unity. And I have made this into resources. So the many uses of this book, some ideas how to use it.
Absolutely.
So because I think that art is the perfect vehicle to discuss difficult topics. I don't think this is difficult, but for many people it is difficult.
Yes, for some it is, absolutely.
And but it is so necessary. So the use is the purpose is to use this book in not only in art class, but in as many classes as possible. So to create and learn from various perspectives about Black queer people, because there's too much bullying.
Yes.
There's too much, and that is fear. That is fear, and beliefs that are programmed in brains. So recent research also shows that trans is how nature works. They do not have yet all data, but it's a biology that develops in the early stages of pregnancy.
Right.
And I linked to a massive amount to fantastic TED Talks by a scientist who is a transgender herself.
Right.
And says what does it mean to be a woman? And also we have 150 million intersex people, known intersex, and there are so many variations. And then you have to understand that a lot of people are probably intersex and they don't know.
Right.
And often that's also because they're lied to.
Right. Right. Right.
So what I want them to do with your micro poems, that's a perfect way to use the book in English literature class and discuss famous writers and poets who were part of the LGBTQi plus community, or read books and poems they wrote, or let students write their own poems.
Absolutely. It just crosses over to so many different subjects, as you've said, English, art, and you know what, the fact that it has that educational side, because you've got the link, haven't you?
Yep.
And it will tell them more about each of the role models. And that in itself is a powerful lesson, because as I said, I learned so much just by, you know, looking at that. So
what I've done at the back of the book is I have written very small bios. So what it is, what kind of painting it is, who they are, very small. But it is good to go online, do some research.
Do some research, absolutely, absolutely. And these are all role models that some of them I never knew, you know, growing up through the educational system, no one spoke about Audre Lorde to us. You know, the civil rights movement and things, we never learned about that at all. So what you're doing is not only empowering someone to be true to who they are in terms of their sexuality, but as a Black person, to actually stand up and have pride for what that means. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So what I've also done is, so you can use it in Black history. Not history, but Black history, and discuss them, because you have what you say, you have Audre Lorde, but you have also Angela Davis, you even have Nina Simone.
And now that's a shock. I think that will be a shock to some people, because I remember when I was telling my friend about this project that I'm doing, and I said it includes Nina Simone, they're like, what? Nina Simone? And yeah.
Nina Simone wrote in her diary that she was bisexual. So and she was also a civil rights activist.
Oh, she was an activist, completely.
Which the public not always appreciated, but she did it anyway. They can talk about, so you can take it into history, art, English class. You can do it in
even like drama.
You can do film, drama. So all these things. Talk about intersectionality. Talk about the Commonwealth and the implications of the laws instilled in countries. And what does it even mean to come out? And why do we have to say, I come out? Does a heterosexual do that?
Absolutely.
No, they don't. But think about that. Just think about that for a moment. That is because some people
we're
decided
programmed to think that that's the right way and that's the only way, and so you don't even have to celebrate it because it's automatically expected.
It is expected. You have Disclosure. There's a documentary that provides an in-depth look into Hollywood's depiction of trans characters, their impact on the community in our American culture. Netflix.
Wow, that's interesting.
You have Sister. There's an anthology of writings by same-gender loving women of African Caribbean descent in UK.
Ooh, wow.
I have a link to Stonewall. I have a link to the Kaleidoscope Trust. There is something about gender fluidity, intersectionality. Carissa Sambomatsu, The Biology of Gender, From DNA to Brain. Transgender. Emily Quinn, The Way We Think About Biological Sex is Wrong. And then a funny TED talk from Molly Webster, The Weird History of Sex Chromosomes, because that is in itself. And the gender fluidity, and also how before Europe or Europeans and Christianity, invaded the Americas, the indigenous people lived with several, like 5 gender types peacefully next to each other, and homosexuality was normal.
Yeah, it's because we're almost programmed to kind of box everyone. And
We
if
have
you
we
don't
have
fit in
we
that
have
box,
boxed. We have the
absolutely,
XX and the XY, and we only have men, woman. And
exactly.
I so often have this discussion, and I say, listen, that's only on the outside. Yeah, you have a willy or you don't. That's it.
Yeah,
But on the inside, something completely
something's
different is
completely
going
different.
on.
Yeah.
And we have a kaleidoscope from chromosomes, and we have patterns in our brain that are female and male. And so you have very masculine women, and you have very feminine men, and you have transgenders, because that is even ways more. So Carissa says I always immediately, as soon as she had the conscious to know who she was, I felt that I was a woman on the inside. I know.
Wow.
So you can't just say it's only, but we have biological sex and that's where we divide. That's wrong.
No,
That is
I
ruling
do
out people, and you don't rule
agree.
out people.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And what you're doing is you're igniting that conversation about it, because it is hidden and people can mask through their gender, because culturally you're told you can't do this or you can't do that. But what you're doing is actually evoking that conversation, which is so important. And I think, thank God, nowadays we have so long to go, so far to go in learning, but at least now we are having that conversation. Whereas 20 years ago, when I was at school, we would never use the terminology transgender, lesbian, gay. You just wouldn't, you know. So thank God we're having that conversation.
Thank God we have the conversation, but it is worrying that things are going backwards. Because if you watch that TED talk by Carissa Samwamatsu, 40% of transgender people have tried to commit suicide. And transgenders of color are one demeaning word away from stepping over the edge.
And I learned that in Marsha Johnson when I actually watched the Netflix documentary about her plight, and what she went through and the way she tragically died. And that opened up that portal for me. And you actually capturing, her in your portrait, and me having the honor to actually write a poem about her, it was really important that I put that in, the plight that she had gone through and the road she has trod to open the way for others. Yeah.
The life and death of Marsha P. Johnson.
It's a sad story. I mean, she was a woman of much courage and strength, but the circumstances in which she went, and unfortunately it's the story of many.
And if we do not step up, it will be the story of more, which is very disturbing. Very disturbing. So I hope that it's available on Blurb.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of what you have done, Karin. I just want to actually express that your portrait and the vision that you have and the fact that you've put this together and it's out there is incredible.
Thank you. And I'm super proud of you and that you collaborated with me.
Oh, I'm proud of you. And, what you're doing will make a difference. It will change the way people think. It will challenge. And that's what it needs to do. It actually needs to challenge those negative stereotypes. And it will get people thinking and talking.
Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so. We'll put a link in the show notes where people can get it. It's available on Blurb. I hoped, because this is paperback, and I hoped to put it on Amazon, but I can't put it on Amazon through Blurb, not the paperbacks, not those books. So yeah, and let's hope that many organizations, institutions, and whoever works with or teaches about this uses it. Use this book and download it. And I can always, if you do that and you have questions, or you have other resources, because the resources I put in are probably limited. There's so many resources out there. It's just a handout, like, okay, here you can start. And it's mostly how you can use the book. It's not just a book with portraits and poems.
No.
It's something to think about. It's something to study.
Something that can conjure conversation as well within families, you know, when you're talking to your children about sex education and talking to them about their identity. This is an excellent resource to go to and to just have that convo.
Yeah. So let's hope that many will make use of it. I hope that.
Yes. I hope to see it in youth clubs. I hope to see it, you know, in health visiting places all over, really.
Yeah.
Doctors,
it needs to be
surgeries.
everywhere. Yeah. Needs to be everywhere. And I truly believe that what you've done is amazing, and it makes it complete. You know, the portraits in itself are beautiful, but with the poems, it makes it complete, and that made it easier to make it into a book. It's not even that thick, but into a book that really is good for education.
Yes.
You can even, if you do not teach, but just want to read the poems and contemplate for yourself, an edition for that is also coming out. And yeah, I'm always open to more resources that I can put into the lesson brief and then give another link, new link, keep it updated. Yeah.
Absolutely. You never know, you might have a second volume.
Who knows? Who knows?
But thank you for including me, and I hope it goes everywhere and does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's my dream too. Really make an impact and change, bring change, at least make people think that you can't just, based on beliefs that are programmed, rule out other people. No. That's not done. You don't do that.
No.
Because it doesn't serve you.
Where's the growth if you don't challenge your own thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. And keep doing what you do.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.